If you are considering buying or selling in Panama City Beach this summer, then these next 10 minutes may be the most important minutes all year for you. My name's Marc Miller. This is Marc on the Market, where every single month I'm updating you on what's happening here in Panama City Beach with respect to real estate. So we're going to get started with the Panama City Beach market stats overall. And what they show is just the continued trend. We see inventory is continuing to increase. We were at somewhat of a low point over this past year. Back in January, 9.6 months of inventory, and now it has shot up all the way up to 12.5 months of inventory. If we look at the sold to list ratio, we see that it's hovering right around 91.5%, and days on market is starting to climb back up again. We're right around 115 days on average. If we look at the average sales price over this past year, we see that year to date we're down about 7%. And if we look at just May of 2025, comparing it to 2024, we see that we're down 5%. Median sale price, though, is up slightly at 0.8%, but for the year overall, it's still down. If we look at how many homes are actually closing, we see that for both this month and the whole year in general, we're down over 15%. For this last month, it was slightly worse than that too. But we'll go into each of the zip codes individually now. We're gonna get started with the 32408 zip code. So this would be like Bay Point, Grand Lagoon area over on the east end of Panama City Beach. Although we see that the inventory is rising here, probably higher than some of these other areas. This is at 14 months of inventory. What we see, though, that's kind of surprised me is the average sale price jumped significantly this past month. So May of 2025 versus May of 2024, the average sale price was up 11%. Year to date, they're up about 0.2%. So we'll see in the 32407 zip code, I think they were up slightly, but I'm not sure about the year to date number. Median sale price, though, is down about 2% year to date. If we look at what has actually closed in this 32408 zip code, the east end, we see that it's down about 19% year to date, so worse than the average for sure. And if we look at the number of new listings hitting the market, so they're actually down for the number of new listings. So that, to me, may be a good trend. That means less competition if you're a seller. Next zip code that we're going to look at is the 32407 zip code. So same trend right here, absorption rate, inventory is still climbing. They were at 9.5 months back in January. Now they're sitting at 12.04 months. If we look at the sold to list ratio, it's at 93%, so higher than the Panama City Beach average. And then the days on market is actually down. They're at 86, 87 days on market. So to me, this seems to be the part of town that may be moving the quickest. So if you're a seller, then that may be good news for you. Maybe your home won't sit on the market as long. And if you're a buyer, then maybe it means that you don't have quite as much time to think over a property. If we look at the average sale price in this zip code, so we see the same thing that we saw in 32408. They're up this past month. They're up 2%. Year to date, though, they're down about 3%. And then median sale price up 9%. And then for the year average, it's down 4%. If we look at the sold listings in this zip code, year to date, they're down 15%. And if you look at just May alone, it's even worse. They're down 27% compared to 2024. If we look at the pending listings, though, we see it skyrocket this past month, 17%. There's a lot of new construction in this zip code, Breakfast Point, Caballeros Estates, and maybe a couple others. So maybe these builders were running incentives to try to get buyers under contract, and that may be what has prompted this to kind of jump up this past month. And then if we look at the number of new listings, they're up 22% this past month compared to May of 2024. So that shows that if you're a seller, you've got more competition. The last zip code that we're going to look at is the 32413 zip code. This is over on the west end, kind of close to Pier Park, Open Sands, and then all the way west to Pinnacle Port and Lake Powell. What we see here, inventory has jumped up significantly over the past few months. We went from 8.5 months and now we're sitting at right around 11 months. So still less than the other zip codes, but still significantly higher. The sold to list ratio is right at 92%. So this, to me, I think is the second best performing in terms of that metric. If we look at the days on market, it's hovering right around 110 days. And then if we look at the average sales statistics, we see this past month they were down 15% compared to May of 2024. And then for the average sale price year to date, it's down about 12% compared to last year. So that's not good. It's trending the wrong way. We see that median sale price is up just slightly at 0.8, but year to date they're still down. If we look at the number of closed listings in this zip code, we see that it's down 14%, so a lot less buyer demand, and this past month was even worse at right around 20%. And the last one that we'll look at is the number of new listings hitting the market. Year to date, it's up 4%, but this past month there was a lot less listings to hit the market, so down 20%. So that could be a good sign for sellers. Hopefully, you won't have as much competition as we move into the summer months and into the fall. The last thing that we're going to look at is the interest rate. So we've got 6.9%. For the 30-year fixed rate mortgage according to Freddie Mac's primary mortgage market survey. And this has kind of been just between about 6.6 and 7% for this whole year. And it seems as though it's going to continue to stay around this mark. So hopefully all of this is helpful. If you have any questions more specifically about neighborhoods or condos, please reach out to me. I'm always here to help, and I will see you next time.